We're going to take a little bit of a look at the front pages for you at 6:15 this morning. And normally we'd have Sally here and Nina down there, but Nina's down the other end of the studio because what we're trying to do today is take some practical measures and try and make sure that we don't really have any more than 3 people on the sofa.
We're not overcrowding the sofa.
Exactly. We're just trying to take care of each other, like Sal was saying earlier on. So let's take you through some of those front pages this morning. Dominated, as you can expect, by one story. Britain shuts up shop. That's the headline of the Daily Mail front page this morning, which says the UK is now facing the biggest shutdown of normal life since World War II.
The Daily Mirror calls for people to stay safe, while also warning that the measures announced by the Prime Minister yesterday could be in place throughout the summer.
I'll show you the Metro, time to get antisocial. That's one of their main stories today. The paper reports that owners of pubs, clubs and other social venues fear they won't be able to claim the cost of lost business on insurance after the government stopped short of closing them down officially. That's something that Nina's going to be looking at throughout the morning today.
Absolutely. Online, the Stage reports on the immediate closure of all plays and musicals as theatres go dark to adhere to the latest coronavirus guidance. So many changes across so many parts of our lives. We look at the inside page as well. Nina, what's caught your eye?
Well, coming to the story you just mentioned there, actually, the impact on the hospitality industry. Kate Nichols, who's the head of UK hospitality, has said this will be catastrophic for the industry. She's described this as a handbrake turn rather than a slow-motion car crash. And she said late last night there have already been job losses in the hospitality industry. And just look at those pictures. Trafalgar Square, almost empty. This was before the announcement yesterday. Edinburgh Airport check-in, completely empty. And a worker putting on a brave face there, wearing that mask. Inside The Guardian today, I mean, this just shows that every element of life is being affected at the moment. Labour are asking the government to think about low-income earners who are renting, who could be evicted from their property. They want extra legislation to protect people in those categories. And this, I know Jane is looking at this morning, but this is lovely. This is in the Express this morning. A £5,000 care package for a shop owner who's decided in Edinburgh to give older customers care packages. So he's packing in their paracetamol, tissues, toilet paper and hand wash. He said everyone's being selfish, thinking about themselves, but now is the time for us to stick together. So amidst the concern, amid the worry, we're seeing loads of examples, aren't we, of the very best in human nature at the moment.
And we're talking about that on breakfast as well. The kindness amongst coronavirus.
It's lovely.
What have you got, Sal?
Grand National's off. We learned that late last night. Fans saying farewell to racing at Southwell yesterday. That was a real moment, I feel, when they decided that the Grand National wouldn't be happening. I had such a romantic idea yesterday, didn't I? That somehow the people's race would continue. They would find a way, you know, even without spectators, to put that on. But actually, they can't, can they? They need ambulances. They need staff. It is simply, you know, it is not feasible. We'll be talking about that throughout the morning. And I just want to share this with you. This is in the Mirror. Stevenage Borough, who are at the bottom of their league, struggling 8 points from safety, but Chairman Phil Wallace is basically mobilising the club to help elderly in their community. He says, we have kitchens we're not using, we have young players that can't play football, and we have an army of youngsters that, if asked and organised properly, are going to help distribute meals and obtain supplies. He is basically going to mobilise that club to help the elderly in his local community. I think that's a brilliant thing to see.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nina's already showed you one of the insides from sort of showing what's happening. I mean, I know so many of you will be staying at home today, obviously, because we've been asked to work from home if we can. Look at this. This is from the Mirror as well. Cambridge, I don't know if you can see, park and ride. I mean, hardly any cars in it at all. The Tube, virtually deserted. Actually, we'll be speaking to the Mayor of London a little bit later about what's going on in London. Also in London, look at this, Waterloo Station. It's 9:10 in the morning. You can see from the clock. Hardly anybody there at all on what was a Monday. Leeds deserted, Manchester as well. So many. It's just a completely different scene out there to what we are used to.
And talking about shopping, you know, Nina often looks at the sort of average shopping basket, see what's in, what's out, as a sort of pointer towards our changing habits and sort of calculating inflation. Out. OK, so individual fruit pies gone. Oh. We're buying fewer frozen chicken breasts and frozen imported leg of lamb in. Gin and tonic.
Any cleaning products? Gin and tonic, right, OK.
They said this
cleaning products, presumably.
This is before, obviously, toilet rolls came into the equation. Posh vegetable crisps, self-tanning products, gluten-free breakfast cereal and, in times of trouble, crumpets.
Oh.
Crumpets. Goodness me.
Crumpets. That's what we need. We all need a good crumpet.
Oh, thank you very much, Sally. We'll see you a little bit later. So we all know, don't we, the UK is facing a challenge unlike anything it's ever seen during peacetime.
That was the warning from Prime Minister Boris Johnson yesterday as he announced this new set of measures to try and tackle the spread of coronavirus.
You will have noticed, normally we sit a lot closer together, but this is non-essential contact, breakfast style.
This is the new normal, Louise. Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It does feel a bit strange. I'm sure it probably looks a little bit strange if you're switching on your telly. If you just tuned on, you think, why aren't they sitting next to each other?
Shoulder to shoulder. We are still shoulder to shoulder.
We are still a family, Louise, but we're just reducing that non-essential contact. I suppose this is what social distancing looks like breakfast style this morning.
And just to reiterate, we are both well.
Yes.
And we are not in at-risk groups either, so therefore we are at work.
Just looking after each other. Which is the way we all have to be these days.
Let's get you up to date on the very latest news as well, of course. Measures to tackle the spread of coronavirus in the UK have been dramatically stepped up.
Yeah, the government is urging people to work from home if possible and to avoid non-essential travel and socialising in public spaces. The over 70s, pregnant women and people with underlying health conditions have been asked to isolate themselves.
Well, let's have a little closer look at the new measures. For the majority of the population, that's people under the age of 70 who don't have any underlying health conditions, the advice is to limit social interaction by avoiding crowded places like pubs, restaurants and cinemas, and to work from home wherever possible.
Pregnant women, anyone over the age of 70 and those with underlying health conditions have been strongly advised against social mixing. That includes home visits from friends and family. People with serious underlying health conditions, like those undergoing chemotherapy, for example, are being asked to stay at home for 12 weeks. Sounds like a long time, doesn't it? 12 weeks and will be given guidance by their GP.
Well,
a dad and granddad, he was 88 when he died. His family asked not for flowers at his funeral, but for random acts of kindness. In the midst of the fear, the panic buying, the acts of selfishness,
Take it away.
it is kindness which is starting to shine through. You can see it in Romain, a musician who is coordinating free concerts outside the homes of anyone in isolation in London.
And once we know who are those people and where they live, we can offer them mini concerts. Those people just have to open their door or their windows or maybe their back garden to uplift them and to give them some emotional support that they need.
You can see it in Ziggy and his mum Paula.
I love that hashtag. As well as spreading the love and spreading the hashtag, you're raising money, is that right?
We're raising money for the intensive care unit in the hospital.
How's it going, Mum?
It's amazing. The news out there is serious. I think we all know it's serious, and I think we really need to do something positive.
Yeah.
I think the talk of, we're going to lose loved ones, we need to change that. We need to say we're going to save loved ones.
You can see that kindness in the football clubs.
Hello, Stevenage.
Off the pitch right now, but still at the heart of their communities.
We're working with our local food banks to facilitate deliveries of food to those that need it. And we're also running an errand service. So whether that's you need dog walking or a prescription collected, our staff are going to try and get out as best they can and help you all.
That's brilliant. Keep up the good work, Stevenage.
Hi there, my name is Dan Perrin. I am the Music and Events Director for Studio 338, London's biggest nightclub.
And you can see it in Dan, whose club will be empty, but who is turning it into a food bank and delivery service for the most vulnerable in his community.
We've had loads of volunteers, which is fantastic, but we need more.
This is an unprecedented time of fear and uncertainty.
Thank you so much.
But kindness too.
Bravo.
oh, good on everybody.
If you or anyone in your household has one of those symptoms, then you should stay at home for 14 days. That means that if possible, you should not go out even to buy food or essentials other than for exercise, and in that case, at a safe distance from others.
This is now the advice. Avoid gatherings and crowded places. Work from home if you can. Stop unnecessary visits to friends and family in care homes. Only use the NHS when you need to. If possible, avoid leaving your home. If you go out to exercise, keep your distance from others. People over the age of 70, those with certain health conditions, and pregnant women are being told that the advice is particularly important to them.
Infections and pregnancy are not a good combination in general, and that is why we've taken the very precautionary measure, whilst we try and find out more, to include pregnant women in the group alongside older women and people who've got pre-existing significant health conditions. We may in retrospect find that was overkill, but we'd rather be more cautionary now rather than the other way.
London's West End deserted, major theatres closing their doors. The attempts to slow the spread of coronavirus is affecting not just people's health and social life, but people's incomes too. Many are angry that Boris Johnson told people to stay away from venues while not forcing them to close, which could have given them financial protection. Panic buying is happening at shops across the country. These people in Wales don't agree with it.
Coming here and finding no bread, no eggs, no toilet paper, and things like that missing does give me a lot of concern.
Lots of elderly people use this supermarket in Llantwit, and I think if we're greedy and take away from them, I don't think that would be sort of showing our community spirit.
For now, schools remain open, but this could well change. The government says by next weekend, people with the most serious health conditions must be largely shielded from social contact for around 12 weeks. More guidance may well follow. Drastic measures to tackle a growing threat here.
Because you've got some sort of breaking business news about Carphone Warehouse. So is it coronavirus related? What can you tell us?
It's not actually. It's probably the one story this morning that isn't. In the last few minutes, we've learned that Carphone Warehouse will close all 531 stores from April. So they will close all 531 stores. Now, that will entail 2,900 redundancies. They're, of course, an umbrella organisation. They have lots of the different providers within them. They've said it is not Covid-19 related. They say this is to do with a changing mobile market. What they mean by that is we're getting a lot more of our deals online now. The footfall is a lot less in stores. PC World and Currys, which they're affiliated with, they're not affected. And we'll get a statement on a bit more of the detail a little bit later. But just a reminder, Carphone Warehouse will close all 531 stores next month. Nearly 3,000 redundancies there.
High Street continues to change, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's nothing to do with Covid-19.
Yeah.
A lot of adults will, of course, be working from home today as the UK steps up the fight against coronavirus. Most children and young people, however, will be off to lessons as usual. Schools in England have been told to stay open. Public Health England says this is because children are less vulnerable to the virus than adults. In Scotland, there are no plans for a blanket closure of schools yet, but a number have been shut for deep cleaning. Schools in Wales are also still open, but the Health Minister, Vaughan Gething, said closing them could be an effective strategy if the virus continues to spread. And in Northern Ireland, the Education Minister there, Peter Weir, said now is not the right time to close schools.